Heaven's Journey to Life. Have you ever really loved your parents? Part 2, Day 87. To read this post, it must be understood that we're walking this process in blog, Heaven's Journey to Life, multidimensionally, which means each post covers one dimension, but is interconnected into and as multi-dimensions in our process of walking the point in question of who I am and how this I created and manifested this entire physical existence. Thus suggested to read this blog from day one, as many of the points in previous dimensions days and posts are always brought through into the next day's dimensions and posts, as all the dimensions interconnect as the multidimensionality we've created and manifested as our separation as energy and consciousness from and of life and equality and oneness. Thus, if one is faced with this post and have not yet read this blog from day one, suggest that self first start from day one, as otherwise one will have no context of many dimensions that is walked in this post that has been dealt with in detail in previous posts. This is a continuation of our previous post, where we're continuing with more practical and physical examples of how we never in fact have a relationship with our parents and all beings in our world for that matter, because who we are in relationship to them in our mind is and always has been constructed and manifested from and in relationship to memories and characters as us, within ourselves and the mind. How we even go so far as creating and constructing alternate versions of our parents within our minds, from alternate versions of ourselves as characters to serve only our interests and intentions and wants, needs and desires according to how we manifested our who we are in our minds. I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to inequality and oneness with and as life, energy, and substance, the mind and the physical from the beginning to now, seen, realized, and understood my relationship to myself and others as existent and defined within my mind from and of memories, where with my memories containing defined relationships of who I am to and towards others in my world, will, within my and such memories of past experiences with others, establish me as the main character within such memories and within the memories itself. Even change, alter, and warp the actual reality past experience, who and how I was in that moment, as well as the other person, to accordingly mold, shape, and manifest my remembrance and memory of that physical interaction to best suit my own interested wants, needs, desires, and intentions as the process of using memories of past experience to create and manifest me into and as characters in my mind that serve me and me only. Where, for example, in my relationships and interactions with my parents as a child, with, for example, facing a moment where I wanted, needed, and desired a particular item, with all that stands in the way of me and that item was my parents saying yes. And with the parents saying no, would go into an absolute breakdown because in the past, before this current moment in seeing the item I want, need, and desire, I, as a child, physically interacted with a particular item that was similar and the same to the one I was seeing with my parent in current time. Where that particular item in the past, while I was physically in reality interacting with it and playing with it and eating it, had an overwhelming experience of joy. This overwhelming experience of joy, coming from similar and same memories of my parents in my unconscious mind that merged with my present moment, containing me in interaction with the particular item within the glass window pane, where I then accepted my parents' memory and their experience and behavior as character to and towards a similar and same item. And so the two memories, my present moment interaction with the item together with my parents' memory as character, experience, behavior to and towards a similar same item, then manifested in the center of my mind, head, brain region, and then manifested into an as mind physical experience of overwhelming joy. Where the moment I experienced the overwhelming joy with this particular item, I took another present moment imprint containing me in the experience of overwhelming joy in relationship to this particular item with a particular behavior and manifested it into and as my own personal unconscious and physical mind relationship. And this, thus, the process of creating me into and as a character in relation to A and the particular item, with the memory as character of me containing the item, my behavior and experience. And so every time I physically see this particular item, my own memory activate within my mind physical relationship, and so will every time access the character I created as my who I am to and towards this particular item, in how I behave and experience myself. And so, as I was walking with my parent in current time, I, with my physical mind eyes, imprinted a present moment into my glass window pane of an item that looked similar and the same to the one I formed a character relationship to in the past, which then activated this character in my mind only. Where I met this item I was seeing in current time with a reaction of recognition of the sense of overwhelming joy. But because I did not physically have it, my experience to and towards that item in my external world was only existent in my mind as my character and experience of overwhelming joy within that activated. And so the only way this character within me in relationship to the item can be physically materialized and lived is if I physically have, get, own, and possess that item. Because the moment I get, have, own, and possess that item, I can fully embody and physically experience my character with the overwhelming joy experience and behavior that goes with it. And so, the character in the mind takes center point within the mind, not yet fully integrated because it does not yet have a physical relationship of ownership to and towards that particular item. And so it is the character the child created that asks the parent for that item to own, possess, and have it so that it can physically experience itself as the memory of itself it created within the past with a similar and same item. And so the child essentially wants to rematerialize a memory, to experience themselves the way they did in the memory and behave the same way they did in the memory. And the only thing that can fulfill that experience and behavior as character within that memory is getting, having, owning, and possessing this item. And thus why, when and as the parents say no, the child will in a way break down, because in their mind, they already activated the memory and character of their past relationship with a similar and same item, already built up the energy experience in their mind physical relationship, which mean within their mind, they already have the item. They just needed to now physically have, own, and possess it. So the child built up their energies to a high, and when the parents say no, the energy suddenly, unexpectedly drop. Because in the child's mind, it's like in physical reality, they already had it, but only in fact had it in their mind. And so the child interpret the parent saying no to them as who they are as a being. But the parent, in fact, only said no to one character of and as the child, as the relationship they created within a memory in relation to a particular item. And so this character, already positioned in the mind physical relationship, ready to physically materialize and manifest, would fight for its way through into and as a physical experience and behavior, with this fighting manifesting the child into and as what is referred to as a temper tantrum or simply tantrum. As the child, as the character, take that energy drop of the energy that went from a high to a low when the parent said no and use it mentally, physically, within and as the child to attempt and try to manipulate the parent into getting, having, owning, and possessing the particular item. I commit myself to show how, as children, we already start with the basic process of character creation in our relationship with toys, food, television shows, and school, etc. We develop in and as manifested memories of ourselves in relationship to the toys, food, television shows, school, with particular specific behaviors and experiences. All and most such relationships to toys, food, television shows, and school coming from memories of our parents as characters they created with experiences and behaviors to and towards toys, food, television shows, school, etc. Where every moment we in physical reality come in contact with toys, food, television shows, and school, where we had already created and manifested characters towards as particular behaviors and experiences, our physical mind eyes would imprint the present moments onto the glass window pane, activate the unconscious and physical mind memory with our character as experience and behavior to and towards a particular item, where we will, in quantum time, meet that particular item with the experience and behavior as character we created and manifested to and towards it within our memories. And so within this, how we're never in fact in real time, here as breath within, for example, as children in our relationship to and towards a particular item, because we, from a certain perspective, with activating our relationship to and towards a particular item, are only experiencing ourselves and behaving as an embodied character from a memory that centered itself within our mind physical relationship. And so we're not, in fact, experiencing, interacting, and participating with a particular specific item. We're always only experiencing and behaving within ourselves, only ourselves, in our own mind, and will, with our relationship to a particular item, essentially be in a possession as we're so focused on our experience and behavior as a character relationship to the particular item in reality that the rest of the world seem to disappear as the utmost and absolute separation from ourselves, our own body, and the rest of the physical environment. And so I commit myself to show how, from childhood into, through, and as our adult years, why and how it is we develop, create, and manifest preferences to and towards items and material possessions, even to people, as we've used such particular specific items and material possessions and relationships with people to, within our memories, as physical experiences with them, develop characters of experiences and behaviors that activate every time we interact and participate in physical reality with certain specific items and material possessions and relationships with people, that our relationships with items and material possessions and relationships with other people never, in fact, has to do with the real-time participation with the items and material possessions and relationships with other people, but how they activate memories of characters we created within ourselves with particular experiences and behaviors that we then get to physically embody and live out and experience as who we are. In this, I commit myself to show how and why, thus, the elite, for example, within this world will not give up and let go of, or consider sharing their wealth within the implementation of an equal money system, where all are equal and one in elitist status on this earth with an equal and one opportunity to life and living. Because such individuals and the elite created memories as characters with experiences and behaviors in their mind, in their relationship to money and material possessions. And so the characters will fight for their existence in the mind of the human being because they must physically have the material possessions and money to activate the characters and experiences and behaviors in their memories to which they have defined themselves as. That characters in the mind would regard themselves as more than other human beings' lives and would justify, excuse, and validate their why and how as their right to their money and material possessions and the amount of that they have at the sacrifice of countless lives, simply because a character in a memory wants to own and possess its activations in physical reality as money and material possessions, as the extent to which human beings have come to believe who they are to be characters in their minds from and of memories. I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to inequality and oneness with and as life, energy, and substance, the mind and the physical, from the beginning to now, seen, realized, and understood how, the moment the parents say no, with the memory and the character still existent in the center of the child's mind in relationship to the particular item that is attempting to and trying to physically manifest itself, consciousness of and as the child will imprint that present moment of the parent saying no into the glass window pane. Scan for memories and characters of the parents with a similar and same memory with their parents saying no. And when and as the child's beingness now merged with the mind within and as that one memory with the character in relationship to the particular item, when and as the child's merged beingness accept a memory found, that memory of the parents is then merged with the present moment of the parent saying no. Then, those two merged memories from the glass window pane then transfer into the center of the mind, merging with the memory in the center of the mind of the child with the memory of the character in relationship to the particular item. And once all three memories are merged in the center of the mind, they resonate into and as the mind-physical relationship of the child, and so the child will physically behave, squeal, and whine, equal to and one with what the child's parents did in their character creation to and towards their parents when their parents said no, as the memory the child accepted from their unconscious mind and uploaded into and as their mind to physically enact and live out. And so, what is in fact manipulating in such a mental physical state is the child's character in the center of the mind, merged with the present moment of the parent saying no, as well as the memory of their parents' characters as how they behaved and experienced themselves when their parents said no, together with the negative energy the child and character experienced from the drop of the high the child initially experienced within the expectations of getting, having, owning that physical item. And so the child throw their temper tantrum to attempt and try to manipulate the parent into giving them that physical item, as the character and the mind of the child fight for its existence. In this, I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to see, realize, and understand what happens from that moment. If and as the parent maintains the no, the child will then take that entire present moment consisting of the child existing as the three merged memories in the center of their mind. Memory one, the character in relationship to the item. Memory two, the moment their parents said no. Memory three, the parent's memory and character of their tantrum as behavior and experience. The child will take who they are as the three merged memories, the parent continuously saying no, as well as the child's negative energy experience in that present moment, and manifest it as one memory within their mind-physical relationship, where in the memory of the child will position themselves as the main character in relationship to their parent saying no, and construct the memory in such a way that it was the parent that said no to the child and caused the child's negative experience in their mind physical relationship, and so in the memory essentially blame the parent. When this entire process and experience was all in fact playing out only within the child, within a character fighting for its existence and embodiment, and had nothing personally to do with the parent. If and as the parent says yes, the child will then take that entire present moment consisting of the child existing as the three merged memories in the center of their mind. Memory one, the character in relationship to the item. Memory two, the moment their parents said no. Memory three, the parents' memory and character of their tantrum as behavior and experience. The child will take who they are as the three merged memories and the parent saying yes, as well as the child's positive energy experience in that present moment when they got the item and the character was materialized in the physical, taking all that and manifest it as one memory within their mind physical relationship, where in the memory of the child will position themselves as the main character in relationship to their parents saying yes, and construct the memory in such a way as the entire process that the child will thus reenact whenever the parent ever again says no, and can embody all three memories simultaneously, from the character as the experience and behavior to the item, to the memory of the parent first saying no, to the memory of the parent's character and tantrum when their parents said no, and physically manifest it until their parents say yes again. When this entire process and experience playing out in the mind of the child, with the parent thinking and believing that when the child is happy and satisfied with getting and having and owning the item, and the child hug them and kiss them or say thank you, it's in fact the character in the mind that is pleased to have been able to be physically manifested and had nothing to do with the parent themselves. I commit myself to show how, as children, even within this relationship to getting, having, and owning and possessing certain specific items, to and towards which we developed and manifested a particular character towards, with a particular experience and behavior, when and as we say thank you, and give a hug, it's not in fact an actual real appreciation and gratefulness of another in the relationship of giving and receiving, in really saying thank you and gratefulness to another as self, but in fact a reaction from a character in our minds to and towards our parents for fulfilling our want, need, and desire to physically manifest and have a particular experience and behavior. Thus, essentially, a character within the mind of the child saying, thank you for transferring me from a memory into and as an actual physical experience in reality. And thus, in this example, above. The parent essentially only pleased a character within the mind of the child, and the child's reaction to and towards the parent is within the fulfillment of this pleasure experience, which is thus not, in fact, love, but a fulfillment of and as a self-interested desire, which within this brings into questioning the very existence of love. Even as children, our reactions to and towards our parents in our relationship as characters was in no way in any context of love, but in the pleasing and satisfaction of desires within ourselves.